Once upon a time, dinosaurs looked like this. They were crocodile-like, slow, plodding animals living hundreds of millions of years ago. And this is how the Victorians saw them. This is a Victorian reconstruction of a megalosaurus. Obviously, it couldn't possibly be bipedal. It was basically a crocodile. It used to wrestle animals to the ground, probably, but it had to sort of lie in wait for them, and was generally sluggish and cold-blooded and scaly. Then, after a while, you started to get more lively dinosaurs, and the nostalgic kind of things that you find in the Golden Book of Dinosaurs, the famous dinosaur book from the 1960s, I think, looked more like that. They were sort of quite lively. I mean, obviously this is a herbivore. This is what you might call a brontosaurus, although that wasn't the real name. And, they were a little bit more lively, although they had to spend a lot of time in water and so on, and they were still cold-blooded, and, they were pretty lively. Then came the late 70s and the discovery of Deinonychus, and Diplodocus, for example, started to be done like that. These dinosaurs are on speed, they're on cocaine, they're like a lot of the way people were in the 80s. They're hot, they're warm-blooded, they're aggressive, and they are fast and active, and they have whip-like tails that can actually break the speed of sound, and in fact that's what they think that happened. Now the question is, which one of these are the real dinosaurs? You've got this, you've got this, you've got this. Is it the lizardy slow thing? Is it the sort of nostalgic post-war 70s dinosaur? Or is it the 80s onwards sort of violent, aggressive, fast, crack cocaine stimulated dinosaur that you get in this, the hot-blooded dinosaur? Or maybe even a more recent dinosaur, which is, covered in feathers, as they are now considered to be. Which one of these is more real? Well, I think my answer to you is that none of them are real. I mean, they are all real, but dinosaurs are very much a product of their times, and their times are not the Mesozoic. Their times are now. And what we think of as dinosaurs changes all the time. So what is the original reality? Is there even an original reality? Clearly, there are such things as dinosaurs. You feed them on bird tables every day. You keep them in parrot cages. You have them swanning down the river. You have them flying through the air and that sort of thing. Those sort of dinosaurs, yeah, certainly those exist. And certainly the big lizardy things that existed in the past existed as well. But we construct each of these dinosaurs according to our own proclivities. If we live in a sedate, plodding age, such as the Victorians, or so we imagine the Victorians were nowadays, of course we could be equally wrong about those as we are about the dinosaurs, then we're going to have sedate, plodding dinosaurs that are a bit like crocodiles. And of course they did have reasons to suppose that they were like that, because all the reptiles they knew at the time were cold-blooded, and that's what they would have expected, although it was obviously very hot at the time, in the Mesozoic, that is, not in the Victorian times. And then later on, you've got the sort of rather imponderable 70s dinosaur, mid-20th century dinosaur, which has a tail that sort of droops along the ground and drags along. And then they realise, you never see that, they must have held the tails up. And I'm not quite sure what the mid-20th century dinosaur represents, except to me it represents nostalgia and the best dinosaurs there are, because I'm that kind of person, and I grew up at that time. And then later on, you get the more manic dinosaurs that you have in a more manic time, in other words, the 80s onwards. And then you get the feathered dinosaurs. Now, I don't know what feathered dinosaurs represent, maybe continuity with the present day or something. But one thing that they definitely weren't was outmoded. They got unlucky. They got hit by what apparently was a massive asteroid. I mean, they may have steered it into place in the first place as a space station or something, I don't know. But, it came down, it hit them, it wiped them all out, and then the world was uninhabitable for them for a few years, but then later on it became more habitable again, and in fact, up until the end of the Eocene, it was very, very hot. In fact, it was hotter than it ever had been for the dinosaurs, and they in fact tried to stage another takeover in the form of giant predatory birds that ate horses. So, had the asteroid not hit, or whatever had not happened, you would have ended up in a situation where there were dinosaurs that were absolutely suited to that situation, a world in which the Arctic Ocean was warm enough to feel like a warm bath. And our idea that they are outmoded and out of date and disappeared is completely wrong. So I suppose what I'm saying is that each dinosaur, and understanding of dinosaur, is a product of its time. You can't remove it from that time. And They are not these plodding, slow, lizardy things that are out-evolved by human beings or mammals. They dominated mammals for 120 million years, and they are in no way inferior to us. That's not how evolution works. It's not progress towards the present. It's just change according to circumstances, and you can get lucky or unlucky, and that's what they did, and that's what we can do.